You are watching a special report here on NBC4 as we continue to follow breaking news. An active shooter situation is playing out right now in New Albany. This is all on the 8800 block of Smith's Mills Road. This is at an industrial park. We understand multiple people have been shot.
That's right. KDC1 Manufacturing and Logistics. We've had crews on the scene for about an hour, maybe hour 15. Kyle Beachy on scene did mention at least 20 people escorted from one building to another. And we do have Beachy back. Kyle, what can you tell us now?
Yes, here I just talked to a representative from the New Albany Police Department. He tells me they have identified at least one suspect. He didn't say if he knew if the suspect was still inside the building or if the suspect had been taken somewhere else or was apprehended. He said he does believe the suspect is still alive. But he also said that they're still pulling people who are working the overnight shift from this building into another building. They're still trying to clear that building, so it is still considered an active scene. He didn't know exactly how many victims they're looking at this point. So this is one of those situations where, and since last time we talked, we moved about a half a mile, quarter mile down the road, and we're at a different spot. And there's, as you can see behind me, more than 20 police vehicles here just at this spot. So there's so many officers on scene that there's not a lot of information that we can give you at the moment, but we're still learning more just about every 5-10 minutes about what's going on here. But to go back over what he just told me, They have identified at least one suspect. That suspect is still alive. He's not sure if he's in the building, he or she is in the building, or if they've been taken elsewhere. But there are still people who are working, still people who are on the overnight shift that are in the building that they're trying to get out. They're trying to clear the building at this time.
Kyle, we know information is very limited. You just told us what you know. Can you talk to us about the type of questions that you were able to ask tonight? We know those questions were not able to be answered, we're pretty sure, but just it gives us some insight on the conversation and what investigators are going through.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what we're trying to figure out. I was asking him, how many suspects, if there were multiple shooters in this type of situation, if the shooter was still in the building, or if the shooter had been apprehended, or if the shooter had been injured. He didn't have an answer to any of those questions at this time. As far as victims go, I think that's one of the big things that people are concerned about right now. Lots of people have family members, friends that work at one of these buildings, one of these facilities. We're not sure exactly how many people have been hurt, but he did say that there are several people, and the group of people that I saw earlier was at least 20 to 30 people that were still inside this building working the overnight shift that were being moved to another building. And he said on top of that, they're still trying to clear out more people, and that's why they're considering it still an active scene. But when you say active scene, that could mean a lot of things, right? That could mean there's still a suspect that they're trying to apprehend. That could mean that there's still victims that they're trying to get out. Those are some of the questions that I'm asking, trying to get our minds around tonight.
Kyle, describe that scene over your right shoulder. How many cruisers are you seeing out there, and are you able to pinpoint? Sierra and I have been trying to determine which agencies, and there are a lot of lights out there. We get that you can't see it all. Are you able to get a grasp of the different agencies out there for this mutual aid response?
Yeah, a lot of the vehicles we're seeing that are performing the road checks and the roadblocks are Franklin County Sheriff's Office. These right here that you're seeing closest to us, closest to the camera, those are Franklin County Sheriff's Office vehicles. The farther down you go, the harder it is to tell who they are. But there are at least 20 squad cars over here. The last scene we were at, which is a quarter mile down the road, there were at least a dozen more vehicles on that side. And then even on the other side of the building, there were at least another dozen vehicles. And that includes all the vehicles that are along Beach Road and the surrounding roads, including Smith's Mill Road, that are trying to curtail the traffic right now. And there's also, I'm counting half a dozen unmarked cars at this time too. So this response is quite robust to say the least. But I know the Franklin County Sheriff's Office appears to be doing most of the stoppages in the roads and blocking traffic and that sort of stuff.
Kyle, I do want to ask, have you seen any family or any loved ones approaching the scene or attempting to approach the scene at this point?
I've seen a couple cars that were not law enforcement vehicles. I know specifically on that side, the far side of the scene here, there were a couple vehicles that appeared to be civilians. Not exactly sure if they're working here or what they were doing in the area, but there's not a whole lot of activity other than the police activity going on right now.
Kyle Beachy, live for us out there in New Albany. Kyle, stand by. We will be coming back to you shortly. We have learned from our newsroom that this original call came in around 10:20 this evening, which really aligns with what we were thinking. We were saying between 10:30 and around 10:45, because oftentimes what happens is the call will go out and then the information starts to get dispatched on some outlets and some resources that we are able to track in the newsroom. And so the newsroom assignment desk flagged it and we started the initial response.
That's right. It did come out as a level 1 mass casualty incident. We learned before midnight, and Kyle has reinforced that it is an active shooter situation. When
we talk about that level 1 mass casualty incident, we don't see those here in Central Ohio, so there's a different response. And so once we see something like this, once we heard it, we knew we had to deploy crews, and we started sending everyone out to this location in New Albany, the 8800 block of Smiths Mills Road, KDC 1. This is an industrial park. People there working overnight, and a workplace shooting took place. And let me just be clear and clarify here, a shooting at the workplace of several people. We are not sure if the suspect or suspects work at this facility, but this active shooting situation playing out.
Kyle did speak with someone with New Albany police. They told him at least one suspect had been identified. Not sure if they are in the building, and they're also not sure about the number of victims.